Hello and welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show. We are your hosts, Chris and Philly, co-founders of a multi-award-winning functional medicine practice, serving busy people with energy, mood and gut issues.
While busyness, addictive doing, people-pleasing and perfectionism might be the norm, it's not normal, and it's a major contributor to health issues.
Our goal with this show is to give you a holistic root cause approach to healing your body so that you don't have to continue doctor or diet hopping or popping a gazillion supplements hoping something might stick.
So get ready to heal your body, get your spark back, deeply connect with yourself and step into the life of your dreams.
Let's dive in.
Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to the potty today. I'm so excited to dig into today's topic, which is all about weight, metabolic health and burnout. And I have the wonderful Dr. Mary Barson on for the conversation today. So the reason why I wanted Dr. Mary on the podcast today is that weight and metabolic health is a sign and a symptom that comes along with burnout. And we're really going to dig into that. And Dr. Mary is just the most beautiful person. I know that you're going to really enjoy the conversation. Not only is she incredibly intelligent when it comes to all things biochemistry and body systems and how to really support your metabolism, but she also has the biggest heart and is really in tune with taking a holistic approach to healing the body and having thriving health. Okay, so a bit about Dr. Mary. So she is a general practitioner based in Victoria. She is a weight loss doctor, an expert in metabolic health with qualifications in both medicine and biochemistry. Dr. Mary understands all things sciencey. She loves interpreting scientific research and can separate out true science from popular woo-woo. Dr. Mary marries her love of human biochemistry with her psychological skills as a counsellor and hypnotherapist. Dr. Mary's passion is empowering people to improve their metabolism for healthy and long-lasting weight loss, as well as empowering people to gain the mindset skills to make healthy changes fun, sustainable, and lifelong. Dr. Mary has suffered with PCOS and used to be obese and therefore understands how difficult this can be for many women. By making the right lifestyle changes, Mary has permanently lost weight, improved her metabolic health, and her PCOS has gone into remission. Dr. Mary is a mum of 2 wonderful children. She loves public speaking and has the most infectious and very loud laugh, or so people tell her. You'll probably hear her laugh on the podcast today. She is also the founder of Real Life Medicine. And yeah, I know that you're going to love this. So without further ado, I am going to jump into the conversation with Dr. Mary now. Hello, beautiful people. I'm so excited to have Dr. Mary on our podcast today. She is a wealth of knowledge, and I know that you're going to love her because she is not only a GP, but also looks at the body and health and especially weight and the metabolism from a root cause approach. So I'm just so excited to pick her brain personally.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay. So we always, when we have our guests on, we love to dig into your own personal story, especially those who are now in the health space or the holistic health space, because generally there has been a bit of a body burnout story that has led you to do what you do, or maybe that's come along in doing the things that you do. Not sure, but we will find out for you. So when we use the term body burnout as well, I'm using that quite broad. So often it shows up as energy, mood, gut issues, but there can be a whole host of other symptoms going on. And I know you have a history or had a history of PCOS and obesity, and that can definitely show up in body burnout as well. So what was happening for you? What symptoms showed up? When was your big body burnout experience?
I think my biggest big body burnout experience was when I was training in general practice. So I'm a very empathetic person, which really high empathy, which, like all character traits, it's both a strength and a liability. It's light and dark at the same time. So I've always been someone I've always been aware of how everybody feels around me. I've always been aware of how people might feel around me, and it's been really useful for me to navigate relationships. And I've always been drawn to people, but it also means that my boundaries can be quite permeable. Like, I'm at risk of having those kind of weaker boundaries. And first of all, I did science. So I love biochemistry and biology. I just love nerding out at that really, really, that deep biochemical level, absolutely root cause. Like, it doesn't get that much more root cause when you go down to like the level of the enzymes. I just totally love that. And I did science, but I was working in science. I loved it, but I sort of thought, no, I want to work with people. I'm more drawn to people. So then I did this little left-hand turn and I got into medicine, and I really enjoyed medicine. And then I sort of was drawn to general practice because I just kind of loved everything, babies and the elderly and pregnant women and all of these things. And
Just people, just humans.
Just humans, I loved it. And during my general practice training, we were given a lot of help about how to improve our empathy and how to be empathetic and how to ask open-ended questions. I love doctors. Honestly, I do. Most of my best friends are doctors, but I don't think anybody would be too surprised to know that the doctors can be a bit of an odd bunch, and that on whole, there isn't necessarily high levels of empathy in the field of medicine. I mean, nobody goes into medicine wanting to, everybody wanting to help people. I've never met a doctor who didn't actually care about their patients. But they're not necessarily of that more empathetic ilk. There definitely are lots, but not necessarily all of them. And so, empathy, it's a learnable skill. So that is something that I actually teach in training. And so I was getting all this training about how to be more empathetic and to give more, and how to open up space for people and hold therapeutic space, which was really great. But I just did it too much, and I wasn't very good at those boundaries and protecting myself. And just as my training went on and on and on, I just found myself getting drained energetically more and more and more, and really getting these kind of like these sort of vicarious trauma injuries from all of the human suffering that I was seeing, and more and more and more. It's like I wasn't getting involved in people's lives necessarily, but I really took it all on. And I didn't know how to not, like, and I didn't even really have awareness about this. I didn't even really understand what was happening to me at the time, because I'd never, even though I knew I was an empathetic person, I didn't have a word for it. And people would say, oh, you just need, just boundaries. I don't know what that was or how to do it. And I got sick. I really did. I got really, my mood got really low. I got really tired. I really turned to sugar in a big way to help me cope with my emotions. My weight got really, really, I gained a lot of weight, and I had headaches, and all of these things were happening. And really, there wasn't any sort of great aha moment. I had all these tools. I'd been a lifelong meditator because my dad had instilled that in me. I survived the stress of medicine by being a meditator, and I knew that was a tool that helped me. And so tried to lean on that a little bit more. I kind of knew I needed to step back a bit, so I wound my work back a bit. And it really was only kind of slowly, bit by bit by bit, that I kind of figured out what was happening. And I decided to just sort of reinvent my career, really. And I was like, okay, what do I actually love here? What are the bits that I like? Because this isn't working. I'm going to just have to leave this career if I can't work it out. And the things that I liked was, yes, that root cause, the figuring out what's happening upstream and helping people really change their lifestyle to reverse disease, to prevent disease, to get people off medications. That's just the funnest thing you can do in medicine, is to de-prescribe something. I just love it.
Yeah.
Just get someone off that insulin. It's just like, yes. You know, and so I just kind of developed this idea that, okay, I'm going to do more of this. And that's what I started trying to put out to the universe. I also, advertised in the local paper, and it was building, and it was. And Low Carb Down Under asked me to do some, do a talk for them, and it was building. And then I met this wonderful GP who had also reinvented herself completely into lifestyle medicine. Her name's Dr. Lucy Burns. She's my fabulous colleague. I met her at a conference, and I listened to her talk about how she just does lifestyle medicine. She just helps people improve their sleep, their mood, their gut health, their lifestyle, their food, their stress management, and all these great results she was getting. And so, I went up and befriended her. And then Lucy and I actually formed an online business where we do this, what we love, in a online health coaching, group coaching, online course platform. And so being able to just step into the things that I really love, that really helped my body burn out. And with that increased sort of vocational purpose and a little bit more of a laser focus, opened up more space for me to be able to, look after myself. And I've really have healed, and I haven't gone back into that burnout state for many years now.
That is so cool. That's so cool. Living in alignment with what you love. And then creating the space is huge. Were you working full time as a GP and just patient after patient after patient?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, there were things I loved about that and things I hated about that. So I worked in rural general practice. So there was a lot of emergency medicine stuff as well. So you were on call for emergencies. And I like that. I do. It's quite fun. But it was just that other added layer of, you have to see your 3 or 4 people an hour, and you never know what's going to come through the swinging doors. It could be a dislocated thumb. It could be a suicidal 12-year-old. You just don't know. And then on top of that, you'd hear the sirens of the ambulance come to the hospital upstairs, and then that added layer of stress, and you sort of go up there, and then without my intact self-care, because I just didn't even have a concept of what that was at that stage. Now I do, but I didn't then. I was just a puddle on the floor usually at the end of each workday.
I'm curious how you also have unraveled the empathetic side of things as well, and the boundaries. Were you just I'm just going to put clear boundaries in place, or did you have to do something a bit deeper around deconstructing that side of things so that you could show up, especially in group coaching, where there is a bigger group of people that you are looking after and caring for?
Yes. Yeah, I did have to go deeper. So I did a few things. I found some nice mentors of non-burnt out GPs. I was like, what are you, because there's a lot of burnt out GPs out there. It's a serious problem. But I found a few of my colleagues, and they were all elderly white men, bless them, but they were lovely elderly white men. And I just tried to sort of figure out what it is that they do. And one thing they all did, which struck me as a little bit selfish, to be honest, was at the time, was ruthless self-care. Absolutely ruthless, in my opinion, the way that they prioritize their little moments of self-care. And then I kind of thought about this, and then I actually decided to reframe that as extreme self-care. So I thought that was something to learn. Haven't quite gone to the level that they did, must go for a surf every single day, no matter what. I can't do that. It doesn't fit into my life. It's kids, but it was part of it. And then also talking to other GPs that had burnt out as well. And there were lots of them, just trying to figure this out. And I don't have a scientific explanation for this. Well, we have a little bit of fringe science around this, but we are all energetic beings. We do catch each other's energy. We really do. And there are beautiful experiments that can show this in fascinating ways, that if you put a little a trace, an EEG trace on a mum's head, a mum who's just had a baby, and you track her brainwaves, as we can do this, we can see the electricity of the brainwaves. And then you put a little ECG, which tracks the energy of the heartbeat on a baby. And you can get the mum to just tune into her baby with her hand on her baby. They sync up.
That's cool.
So that it's amazing. So yeah, there is an example. So I actually started to think of my energy as something that I had to conserve, but I also had to refill. And even just that sort of awareness. So if I had a really tricky consultation, maybe, there was domestic violence, there was, situations that are really kind of horrible, the sort of suffering that you hold space for, you help people navigate, and it takes a lot of energy, but you need to share your energy with the beautiful person in front of you, so you're holding this therapeutic space. Then I would just take a little moment after that had come to its conclusion, and we had formulated a plan and we'd moved on to the next stage. Even just taking a moment of honoring the fact that really took up a lot of my energy, and just taking a few little breaths for myself and letting it fill back up again rather than going straight into the next one. That really helped me. And just seeing this is something I need to fill up, and it goes down, and then I had to fill it back up again.
I love that. That's so cool. Okay, so you specialize in weight loss and metabolic health. So weight gain often shows up as a symptom of body burnout. When someone has been going hard for too long, why do you feel that is so? I feel like we've talked about kind of like the behavioral pattern type stuff that's going on, but also from a physical level or that biochemical level.
Definitely. I think there are a few things that are going on. One, definitely at that hormonal level, and weight gain is hormonal. It's definitely not a case of simple calories. You don't need to simply burn more calories than you eat. That's these overlapping and complex hormonal pathways that will control how much fat we store and the rate at which we store fat, and whether or not we are going to let go of the fat, and which makes sense from a survival point of view, from an evolutionary point of view. So when we're in this sort of body burnout, and like you said, there are many, many, many facets to that. Hormonally, often what is going on is that we're getting dysfunction of our cortisol hormonal axis, our stress hormonal axis, our noradrenaline hormonal axis. And when cortisol is chronically elevated, when cortisol is out of balance, this actually is quite literally puts us in a fat storing state in several ways. The elevated cortisol keeps our blood sugar high from releasing glycogen from our liver and our muscles, which elevates insulin. And insulin, I spend a lot of time talking about insulin. Insulin is our master weight storage hormone. And when insulin is elevated, we store fat more readily, and it's quite difficult for us to let go of our fat stores as well. And also, cortisol does a few things. It interferes with our hunger, which is also a hormonal system. So elevated cortisol makes us more hungry, and quite specifically makes us crave carbohydrates, in particular sugar and starches, which if we're eating those to a level that is more than our body really can cope with, that's also going to keep insulin elevated, which is going to put us into this fat storing state. And neurologically as well, if we are spending more time in that fight, flight, freeze, sympathetic activation of our central nervous system, and less time in that nice, calm, rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system, that also sets up a whole lot of cascades that are going to make us more likely to gain weight as well. So weight gain and weight loss, it's all governed by hormones. And for us to be able to, lose weight if we have a weight loss goal, to be able to be in a healthy weight and to be able to be metabolically healthy, we need everything to be in balance. And, burnout is basically, it's imbalance, essentially.
I remember when I was in my state of body burnout. Look, I didn't get obese, but I could put on 5 kilos really easily, even if it was just eating some cashews. Like, I had a handful of cashews every day in excess to my usual calorie intake. And that used to always, I don't know, confuse me because I'm like, cashews are healthy. Like, what's going on here? But, I was also eating fruit buns, as we chatted about on your
Yeah,
podcast last
yeah.
week, and chocolate and all the other things. But it was the stress. It was the stress hormones that my body was just harboring. We were not able to burn the fat very effectively, no matter what I ate. So it didn't necessarily even have to be something like sugar. It was just calories and food in general can make it really hard for the body to burn fat when you're in that constant fight flight response.
Extremely hard. Yeah. Stress is a common cause of weight loss plateaus in particular. And I work in this space of metabolic health and helping particularly women, but also men, to lose weight healthily by balancing their metabolic hormones. This is what we do, Lucy and I. Real Life Medicine is what our business is called. And we do see just stress can be enough to completely stall people's weight loss and even enough to get people to gain weight as well. But I know people want weight loss, and I think weight loss is a perfectly worthy goal, when it aligns with your health goals. But I'm actually more worried about what's happening underneath that. Like the weight gain or the slow weight loss is a symptom, but the stress itself is causing a whole lot of other problems and imbalances that are potentially more concerning. So really getting to that root cause of the stress, and helping people find a way to reduce the stress in their lives, but also, I think even more importantly, improve their resilience to the stress that you can't avoid. Then you are doing lots of wonderful things for your body, including helping your body let go of more of your fat stores so you can get closer to that weight loss goal.
Yeah, I love that. From a body systems level, do you look at know much about detox pathways, liver, and that connection between weight gain?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. There
I'm sure
are,
you know.
yeah. Yes. I say this a lot. I think that it is amazing how mind-bogglingly complex we are. Like it is detoxification pathways are extraordinary. You've just got billions, multiple billions of biochemical reactions happening every second in your body. We are methylating. We are doing all of these things to help just naturally and normally get rid of all of the toxins that we create just naturally and normally being alive. Even if you are living a really healthy, congruent, imbalanced life, you're still making lots of toxins. That's just part of being alive, and your body needs to get rid of them. And yes, it's so incredibly complex. But we are complex, but we are also simple.
And what are your thoughts between the connection between the liver detox pathways and weight gain?
Yeah, I think it's all intricately linked. So your metabolic health is intricately linked with every aspect of your health. And our liver does this amazing job. It's an incredible organ. Your liver, gosh, this is extraordinary. It does all kinds of things, but a really important job is that it does detoxify the toxins in our body. And indeed, most toxins that our liver deals with are actually made by us. So certainly it deals with toxins that we ingest, we breathe in, that get on our skin, etc. Absolutely, it does that. Alcohol being one of the most popular toxins out there can keep your liver extremely busy. But actually, most of the toxins it deals with, we create. Just the general business of being alive, and our cells going through their normal cellular processes create all of these things that if they weren't dealt with, they would kill us, definitely. And so our liver has to deal with this. And the way that it connects to our weight, I think there are several ways. And you want your liver to be as healthy as it can be. One really significant association with the poor metabolic health and elevated insulin that can keep us in a fat burning state, that is keep us out of a fat burning state, sorry, is fatty liver. So our liver is amazing. It can deal with so many kinds of things. But when our intake of sugar and starch is beyond what our bodies are naturally able to sort of deal with on a day-to-day basis. If we're still eating more sugar and starch than is ideal for us and our metabolism, then this extra sugar in our bloodstream gets converted into fat, but rather than being stored in our fat cells, because if our fat cells are overwhelmed and the insulin resistance is increasing and elevated and making our bodies respond by increasing insulin, and our fat cells are just so unhappy, they don't want to take any more fat, they're getting bigger, they're getting inflamed, they're getting unhealthy, they'll start to hide their insulin receptors. And so our body has to kind of yell at them by making even more insulin, and then they hide them even more. And we can get in this vicious cycle of insulin resistance causing elevated insulin, causing insulin resistance. And that's unhealthy for a whole lot of reasons, not just that it prevents us from being able to burn our fat stores, because insulin turns off our ability to burn fat. Meanwhile, your liver is dealing with the fallout as well. And one thing that it does is it starts just taking on all this fat. It's like, right, okay, well, we can't have this sugar in our bloodstream, so give it to me. And it starts storing fat inside your liver cells. And this is called fatty liver. It is commonly caused by alcohol. Alcohol gets converted into fat, and if people are drinking more alcohol, then their body can cope with the excess nutrients, the excess fuel will be stored as fat in the liver, and that's called alcoholic fatty liver disease. But now the rates of alcoholic fatty liver disease in our society are dwarfed by the rates of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, where it's not related to alcohol, it's related to sugars and starches, and especially fructose. Fructose is a sugar that we eat that is in table sugar. It's also in fruit, and it's only able to be converted into fat by the liver. And so our livers get packed with fat, and then they're unhappy and unhealthy, just like big fat cells that are unhappy and unhealthy and not loving life. When our liver cells are packed with fat, they're unhappy and unhealthy and not living life, and they can be inflamed and they could die, and the dead liver cells cause more inflammation. And this can be a really, really unhappy state for your body. So there's that connection. But also, when we are metabolically unwell with elevated insulin and insulin resistance, actually from a metabolic point of view, our bodies create more metabolic toxins with just the general act of cells doing what cells need to do, and are less able to clean them up themselves. Our liver is not our only detox pathway. We've got lots and lots of redundant overlapping detox pathways to help us stay alive. And our cells have capacity to sort of clean up after themselves as well, to an extent. And a lot of this is done at the level of the mitochondria in our bodies, and they're so important, these mitochondria. They are these little cellular components that make all of our energy. So they literally take the energy from our food and they burn it essentially with the oxygen that we breathe to create our energy. And when insulin is elevated, our mitochondria are less able to use fat for fuel, and so they're forced to use the other fuel that is mainly available, which is sugar. They can use protein a little bit, but mostly they use sugar. And when you're in a mostly sugar burning state, the little mitochondria create more metabolic toxins. They are less numerous. Your mitochondria are less numerous. They're less resilient. They're more likely to die, and they can't grow as quickly. And you can get an increase of metabolic toxins building up just because from simple act of being a primarily sugar burner, and more toxins and less able to deal with them, as well as also just literally kind of less energy, because it's a much more inefficient process for our bodies. But with metabolic improvement in metabolic health, managing to get your insulin levels down, and your insulin resistance into remission, and you're at the cellular level, your mitochondria are then able to burn more fat for fuel. And this is a much happier situation, technically called fatty acid oxidation. Your mitochondria take the fat from your fuel, from the food that you eat or your stored fat, and they burn it with oxygen that you breathe. That's the oxidation component. And when you're primarily making energy through fatty acid oxidation, you've got less inflammatory metabolites, less oxidative, like reactive oxygen species. Your mitochondria are more numerous, they're more healthy, they're better able to clean up after themselves, and your whole system is working better.
Mm. Oh my gosh, so much in that. I just want
That's
to,
right, yeah.
I want to backtrack to the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease actually being more prevalent than the alcoholic one. Something that I've seen in clinic is like a link between candida, so a fungal overgrowth, and fatty liver disease or non-alcoholic, because the fungi, the candida, which loves to eat sugar and carbohydrates and even alcohol and gluten, are also producing acetaldehyde, which is basically an alcoholic byproduct. And so kind of what you were saying before, our body is producing all these metabolites and, you know, potential toxins. If they're not dealt with, they can cause harm to the body. It's like, so everything is connected.
Everything is connected, absolutely. And the thing about candida overgrowth is that the same intervention helps both.
Yes.
You eat less sugar and starch, and the candida become less numerous because you're
Yes.
taking away their favorite fuel. So you can get that into a much better balance.
Yeah, which is really cool because everything like that you were just sharing with the body systems from a cellular level, for someone else, it might kind of sound really complicated. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many different things we need to do to improve all these different parts of the body. Actually, there's not a lot of things that one can do to support. So maybe we'll go into that because you're a big advocate of real life medicine.
Absolutely. Real life medicines. Name of our company, our business, Real Life Medicine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are incredibly complicated, like mind-bogglingly complicated, biochemically, hormonally, and there is so much complexity to how we function and how we function well. But at the same time, we're also really simple. We're really simple because our bodies are clever and they naturally want to get into a nice homeostasis, like into a natural sort of healthy state. And if you can simply sort of remove the blocks of the things that are getting away from your body being in a natural state, then everything can start to improve. And because everything is connected to everything else, even if you just start to improve one aspect of your health, it's going to have a flow-on effect to everything else. So the interventions you need are not really complex. You don't need a biochemistry degree to be able to improve your health. You know, the main levers that you can push and pull is your nutrition, and it doesn't have to be super hard. You don't need a degree in dietetics. You focus on real food, and you know, a lower sugar starch version of real food is going to be helpful. Focus and prioritizing your protein. Like that's not hard to do. The emotional overlay of, you know, of making that work for you can take a bit of time and a bit of work, but it's simple. It's a really, really simple, easy thing to do. Sleep, movement, social connection, hydrating your body, thinking about your toxic load and reducing that. You know, the big ones worldwide would be smoking and alcohol. You know, limit those and you'll reduce your toxic load on your body. Do all these things, and then all of those complex metabolic, cellular, hormonal pathways just naturally rebalance themselves.
Yeah. I was interviewing, have you heard of Lizzie Williamson? She's just put out a book. Yep. Active Workday Advantage. And she used the term, no, it wasn't her term, but I'm like, oh, that's great. Sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, movement.
Yeah, yeah. So
sedentary is literally inflammatory.
yeah.
And it's not so much that movement is good for you, but it's more that not moving is bad for you. So
yeah,
it doesn't actually take a lot. No?
yeah.
Just moving your body frequently can make an enormous difference to your internal biochemistry.
Yeah. Can I dig into the nutrition side of things? So you guys teach more low carb way of eating. Do you feel like that applies to everybody, or is that kind of like a more healing modality for someone who is insulin resistant and really struggling with their metabolic health to kind of get them into a better function?
Exactly what you said. So we are all about real food first, because processed food has a multitude of bad effects on our body and our body systems. The more processed, the worse it is. So if you can sort of divorce yourself from this hideous scientific experiment that we have been playing on the human race for the last 100 years, and just avoid things that come in, you know, packets and boxes, and instead eat real food as close as possible to its natural state, then that is without a doubt one of the most powerful things you can do for your health and wellness. And that is going to benefit everyone. The next step, and this is where a lot of our beautiful clients and patients are in this group of people who also have got weight loss goals and problems with their metabolic health. They've got problems with elevated insulin and insulin resistance and all the flow-on effects of that, which include heart disease and dementia and high blood pressure and fatty liver and polycystic ovarian syndrome and even several cancers. It's bad for us. That for this group of people, real food itself, it might not be enough. Especially once insulin resistance has already settled in. For this group of people, then it makes sense to eat less sugar and starches, so a lower carb version of real food. So that's still all your delicious eggs, meat, fish, nuts, seafood, veggies and fruits, but just lower carbohydrate versions of the veggies and the fruits. So less potato, sweet potato, less pumpkin, less sugary fruits, instead focusing on all the delicious real foods that are just lower in sugar and starch. Those two things are a really powerful healing combination for people with problems with insulin resistance and high insulin, high blood sugar and weight gain. And it's a powerful modality. And then of course there is the important sort of mindset skills to be able to make that work for you.
Yeah. I found for me when I was healing myself initially with food, I was hyperglycemic a lot of the time and PCOS. And oh my gosh, my body just loved it when I went into that lower. Definitely didn't go as low as keto, but just lower sugar, lower carbohydrate. Now I feel.
We don't think you have to go keto.
No, yeah. Although I did that as well, but it was unnecessary. But I feel like the more balanced my body has become, the more it's kind of just eat whole food. It's lovely. Anything, everything goes, everything works.
Yes. See, my kids, you know, my children are not insulin resistant, and hopefully they never will be. If they stay largely on a real food diet, they may never get into that that state of high insulin resistance. Obviously, they've got the genes for it because they're my kids. But you know, so I'm happy for them to eat fruit and potatoes and pulses and legumes and all of these great real foods. They're great for them, but they aren't helpful for me. So they're just less helpful for me. So I eat less of them, happy for them to eat more of them. And the overarching philosophy is just real food.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool. Okay, you mentioned mindset. So I know that you do a lot of mindset, which makes what you do quite different to a lot of like other weight loss kind of like programs and that sort of stuff. So can you talk a bit about a mindset? And you use a lot of hypnotherapy as well, which we are just all over the body mind connection, and it just speeds up healing in the most beautiful way.
It does. I love hypnotherapy. Look, I reckon it's all mindset, and this has been my own journey as well. I came across, you know, lower carb real food, and it healed my metabolism and got my PCOS into remission, and I was like, brilliant, this is fantastic. So, and then I did fall into that, right, well, you just do it, you know, and you just do it. And then I was just very early on. I wasn't even a GP yet, early on in my career. And then I realized that when I sort of told people this information here, take this little soundbite from my brain, you're welcome, you know, you're fixed, off you go. It didn't work.
Yeah.
But not only didn't work for them, it also didn't work for me. Because, you know, life would come and slap me in the face and I'd be like, hello, cookie dough ice cream. And I'd be there eating the cookie dough ice cream on the floor of the bathroom. And what am I doing? This is so bad for me. But the sugary mush kept going in my mouth. And so I discovered that just knowing what to do is important and powerful, but not enough. And it like health, and for us as well, for a lot of people, health and weight loss, although health first, it's a personal development journey. So instead, what we need to do as well of, not instead of, as well as, is learn to understand the stories that my brain was telling me, the stories in my head, bring awareness to them, be able to accept them, acknowledge them, and find a way to work through them, not past them, not around them, not ignore them, but work through them. So accept that I was feeling super stressed and resentful and whatever else I was as a solo mum to a toddler eating ice cream on the bathroom floor, but accepting all of that, working through it, and finding more helpful tools that wasn't ice cream on the bathroom floor was the final step that was so empowering. And you can do it. And also it has such this beautiful flow and effect. It doesn't just help your relationship with food, it helps your relationship with yourself and everything else. So hypnotherapy is really helpful. Hypnotherapy is a beautiful mindset intervention. Lucy, my business partner, and I, and my colleague at Real Life Medicine, we're both medical hypnotherapists. So hypnotherapy is a lovely intervention where you get the beautiful person in front of you, or we do guided like audiophile hypnoses as well. You get them into a lovely relaxed state. And in that lovely relaxed state, the brain chemistry and the brain electricity changes to what's called a trance state. Sounds kind of scary, but trance is the normal and natural. We go in and out of trances all the time. You enter flow state at work, you're in a trance. You're loving a good book, you're in a trance. You're just driving home from work and all of a sudden you're home and you can't remember how you got there. That's a trance. A daydream is a trance. Meditating is a trance. So we induce a trance state. And in this lovely, natural, normal trance state, your subconscious brain is much more receptive to positive suggestions. And this is where hypnotherapy comes in. We can use that changed brain state, natural and normal brain state, to give people positive suggestions. It only works if people agree with them. This has been backed up by science. You can't hypnotize someone to do something they don't want to do. Everybody who's clucking like a chicken on a stage with a stage hypnotist actually wants to cluck like a chicken on a stage.
Yeah.
And the genius of stage hypnotists is they can pick those people.
Yeah.
They're very good at it. Yeah, that's exactly. They don't pick the people with the closed posture saying, this is stupid.
Yeah.
They don't pick them.
Yeah. How embarrassing.
That's right. Yeah. So there can be this fear, with hypnotherapy, like, you're going to make me cluck like a chicken and I'm going to be so embarrassed. Absolutely not. You can only be hypnotized to do something or believe something that you already want to do or want to believe. In that trance state, those positive suggestions embed really deeply, and it's a powerful way to shift those unhelpful stories that I talked about, powerful way to shift your mindset, and a really powerful way to move forward quite quickly.
Yeah. And I love that you said someone has to want it or want to believe it, because that's the big thing. And that's where sometimes modalities like hypnotherapy, other types of subconscious change work stuff doesn't work. And then then it creates this narrative of, oh, that was just woo-woo. That's just fluff. But the belief, not even the belief, you don't even have to believe that it's going to work. Well, yeah, you kind of need to believe that it has to work as well, I think, and to want to have that change. Otherwise, conscious mind and subconscious is going to resist that, even if you have the golden egg in front of you that can shift things in a magical way for you.
Yeah. And that's when, like, the therapeutic relationship between you and your practitioner is so important. So that kind of that therapeutic hypnosis, it needs rapport. It does. And some people still don't want it, which is fine, but you have to have the rapport and the trust or it won't work. But stage hypnotism is a bit different. That works on a real authority. So, and that's only people who are choosing to go up on that stage. They're submitting themselves to the authority of the stage hypnotist. And so that is sort of how they can quickly get, quickly sort of agree to these hypnotic suggestions without the rapport for the stranger they've never met before. But personally, I don't work on authority. That's not how my relationship with my beautiful people is. It's rapport and trust. And without that, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, authority too is you're the rescuer, you're the fixer, you're the expert, and it takes away the client's power to actually create change in their own life. So trust and guidance is beautiful.
Totally. Create a space and people heal themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that becomes really sustainable too. Otherwise, they might end up in, doing the same thing over and over again with the expert, as opposed to, well, if you can teach the person to become their own self-healer, it's not only going to create long-term change for them, but then the ripple effect in their family and people that they are associated with is awesome.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. When people can heal themselves, then it has a ripple effect throughout their whole lives and community. I absolutely agree.
Yeah. So good. Oh my gosh, there's so many other questions that I would love to ask, but I am mindful of time, so we will wrap it up. Now, I know that you do have an awesome free guided hypnosis on nourishing your body well, that you're happy for our listeners to access.
I am absolutely gorgeous, people. So we'll put the link in the show notes. Does that work for you?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do that. Yes. And so also, how can people reach out to you to find out more? What's the best way people can find you?
Yeah, so you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Real Life Medicine. And check out our website, rlmedicine.com. We have got lots of freebies on there. We've got ebooks and resources. We've got a fabulous blog, lots of recipes, and you can learn more about what is happening in our community there, rlmedicine.com.
Awesome. Also, you can search Real Life Medicine and it goes straight to your website too.
We are Googleable.
You are Googleable. I did that the other day. I'm like, is it reallifemedicine.com? And it just opened up to RDL. I'm like, so clever.
We wanted reallifemedicine.com, but someone had taken it. So
oh, dang.
We're rlmedicine.com, but if you Google us, Real Life Medicine, we do come up.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and all the generous things that you've shared today. It's been awesome. I know that a lot of people do, like, weight issues is a big thing, and it's finding the right people that have the skills to really shift that for the person. And I think, as you said, creating the space and rapport is so important. So I love the work that you guys are doing. It's great.
Thank you. Likewise, beautiful human. I think in our corners of the world, we both do good work. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you. If you'd like to give us extra smiles, drop us a review and spread the love by sharing this episode.
You can also rate your own state of burnout and the root cause contributors by taking our Ending Body Burnout assessment on our website. And if you're interested in learning about our group or one-on-one Ending Body Burnout programs, shoot us a DM via Instagram or Facebook.
Have the best day ever.